In a surprising move today, the US SEC has approved applications for listing spot Ether ETFs. But how does this landmark decision impact your digital asset portfolios? Well, let's rewind the clock back to 4.5 months ago when Bitcoin was trading at $42,000, but when US SEC approved spot Bitcoin ETFs, the price of Bitcoin shot up to its all-time high of $73,000. Meaning, Bitcoin spot ETF approval jacked Bitcoin's price by 73%. Now Standard Chartered is saying that the approval of spot Ether ETFs would double the price of Ethereum to $8,000 by the end of 2024. It means in the next 6 months, Ethereum is expected to rise by 100%. And if you're wondering which altcoin is expected to shoot up in the future, then according to broker Bernstein, it is none other than the Ethereum killer Solana. Because spot Ether ETF's approval has set a precedent as the first non-Bitcoin digital asset to be considered commodity, raising expectations that Solana could follow the same path. And if Solana ETFs gets approval in the future, then it goes without saying that Solana will also fly to the moon. So keep a watchful eye on the Solana. Now let's look at the special report of the approval of spot Ether ETFs by US SEC.
After years and years of waiting over debate whether Ether is a security or commodity, US SEC has finally approved spot ETH ETF. The approval of Ethereum ETFs is seen as a critical step towards mainstream acceptance and institutional investment in Ethereum. The US SEC approved 19B4 forms for the Ethereum ETFs from BlackRock, Fidelity, Grayscale, Bitwise, VanEck, ARK, Invesco Galaxy, and Franklin Templeton. Interestingly, clearance for trading will come once issuers have cleared their S1 registration, which may take weeks. Ethereum's position in the US market may be strengthened by this new development, which might also be a game changer, possibly more significant than the Bitcoin ETF, boost investor trust and increase accessibility. Unlike Bitcoin, which has been largely accepted as a commodity, Ethereum's regulatory status has remained somewhat ambiguous. The price of Ether surged 25% between May 20 and May 21, reaching a 9-week high of $3,840. However, the altcoin encountered resistance post-approval of a United States-based spot Ether ETF. Furthermore, Ethereum Classic seems to be stealing the spotlight from its sister chain, racking up gains of nearly 9% in the last 24 hours, positioning itself as the market's second best performer. The price of ETH initially spiked to about $3,900 during the 10th hour before the final clearance, as the initial unsubstantiated claims of an approval seemed to finally settle above $3,800 after the confirmation. Now, according to CoinGlass data, during the volatile period, liquidations across all leveraged cryptocurrency derivative positions surged to almost $350 million during the day, the highest amount since May 1.
So now let's bring in Mr. Abhishek Chauhan, my colleague and a professional crypto trader. So Abhishek, can you please share your insights about the recent ETF approval and its impact on the overall crypto markets?
Definitely, Shubham. So thank you for the question. Just before the ETF got approved, a few minutes before the ETF approval, when the US bell ring closed, in 1 minute we saw Ethereum dump from $3,900 to $3,500. And as soon as the ETF approval happened, Ethereum went from $3,500 to $3,900 again. So
in a couple of minutes.
In a couple of minutes again. So that happened, and this was essentially done to flush out over leverage position, because there is a lot of greed in the market. People knew that this announcement is coming out, and with futures trading, with derivatives trading, you can make much more profits, you know, when you take a leverage. So to flush out these over leverage positions and common market, and this is a common market practice, before any announcement, we see a lot of dump which happens around that. Last but not the least would be the market. In the market, the S1 filing is going to take time. So to see the ETH ETF in action, it's going to take a while, and then we can expect that.
Okay, Abhishek, that was a fantastic answer. But Abhishek, recently Standard Chartered has moved up its expectation for Ethereum to go from $4,000 to $8,000 by the end of 2024 itself. What are your views on that? Because you are a professional trader, how do you think will Standard Chartered, the expectation of Standard Chartered will be met by the investors?
So let's take an example of the Bitcoin ETF. What happened after the approval of the Bitcoin ETF? It essentially touched an all-time high of $73,000. Ethereum is 1/3 the market cap of Bitcoin. So, and if this is there. So if when institutions start buying the Ethereum ETF, if we see the same volume and the same inflow is the main factor because that says the amount of Ethereum being purchased. If there's the same volume, but the inflow is also the same, the market cap is small. So the buying would definitely increase the price much more than what we can see it did with Bitcoin. So $8,000 is definitely on the table if the inflows come in.
That's nice. But do you think that recently also Bernstein also mentioned that not just Ethereum, Bitcoin, but Solana is also coming into picture, into the ETF picture to be precise. You think that Solana's ETF will push the prices up higher for the Solana community, or what are your perspective on that?
So on a shorter time frame, the answer would be no.
Okay,
so
that's interesting.
So essentially what happens is that the Solana ETF the Ethereum ETF got approved because there were CME futures and there was data to correlate it with.
Exactly.
They had 36 months of data with CME futures that they correlated it with. There's more data for Solana CME futures as well. And we can't expect that until a year as well. So probably once
it might take
it might take time. So once CME futures come in, so ideally not before end of 2025 is something that I would expect a Solana ETF to come in. The only way this can be fast-tracked is if Trump, who's now pro-crypto, becomes the president. So that would probably make regulations and everything easier. And there's also speculation in the market. It could either be a Doge ETF or it could also be a Solana ETF.
Okay, there's something going on between them.
So these are the two assets which could most likely, be the next commodity, as we say.
Okay,
so now.
Thank you, Abhishek, so much for sharing your wonderful insights. To discuss more about the same, we are being joined by Mr. Upinder Preet Singh, tech investor and fund manager, Mr. Salman Halavi, founder, Meta Designers, and Naja Bester, the co-founder of Adlinum. So now let's move on to you, Mr. Upinder Preet Singh. Can you please highlight the impact of the Ethereum ETFs on the overall cryptocurrency markets?
We need to understand that 19 V4 forms have been approved for Ethereum ETF. That means they are not same as Bitcoin ETFs. Okay, for Bitcoin ETF, S1 forms got approved. Okay, so S1 forms for Ethereum ETF have yet to be approved. Right, the jump that happened in Ethereum for anticipation of this ETF approval, I think that has already been happened. If we have to see any price action as of now, maybe I would like to see Bitcoin to be doing more consolidation here.
Now moving on to you, Mr. Salman, can you please share your insights on the recent ETF approval?
This is going to have a very positive impact on the price of ETH, with a lot of experts out there estimating around 60% rise. Of course, with crypto, you never know what's going to happen, and with everything going along around the world. But the logical thing that's going to happen is there's going to be a rise. A lot of the boomers, as they call them, the boomer generation, are going to be investing into ETH, ETF, and eventually we're going to see a rise. Now, one thing that we talked about yesterday in our interview was the dominance of these cryptocurrencies of Bitcoin and Ethereum on the market. And I believe that while the dominance of Ethereum is not as high as that of Bitcoin, it could cause a rise in the overall market.
Now, Ms. Nadja, can you please highlight what all impact will this mean for the overall cryptocurrency markets as the Ethereum ETFs have finally been approved?
The very sudden approval of spot ETFs for Ethereum is a notable development, even if mired in political crossfires. Spot ETFs will bring increased access and legitimacy to the cryptocurrency for those investors who are ingrained in the TradFi traditional finance industry, but would like to gain a foothold in crypto. Although spot ETFs are more like pinky toes. However, for those of us who are already investing in crypto due to its decentralized nature, the continued entry of traditional finance institutions, while validating, is also concerning. While it may enhance mainstream adoption and liquidity, it's crucial to remain mindful of preserving the decentralized principles that are core to the blockchain community, because they are there for a reason.
Thank you all for joining us. Well, now let's cut across to some industry reacts.
The SEC's approval of the Ethereum exchange traded funds, ETFs, is a game changer for the Ethereum world and also the crypto world in general, because this opens the window up to many more such projects applying to the SEC and seeking approval. And I think it's very significant, and especially given the fact that Bitcoin was one of its kind of an asset, a digital gold if you may. Whereas Ethereum is a layer 1 solution, and there are many other layer 1 solutions just like Ethereum. So in a nutshell, this move legitimizes Ethereum as a community and opens up investment opportunities for real retail investors.
Ethereum ETH approved. Now we'll see a lot of new action coming into the Web3 space. A lot of EVM based projects would be pumping their marketing, launching their tokens and going all out. So stay tuned. A lot of new stuff is coming in Web3.
So there's one thing that we need to know, just like last time, as we could see a very great spike in the market since the time SEC even started having arguments whether to approve Bitcoin for ETF or not. The same way, in the last couple of weeks, you could actually see when SEC started arguments about whether they think Ethereum is fit or the ETH token is fit to be ETF'd or not. The market spiked up. And it was actually a bit risky journey because till last year, SEC chairman Gary Gensler used to think that Ethereum is or the ETH, the token ETH on the Ethereum network is basically a security token, and things that are security things that act as a security token cannot be ETF'd in case they're not regulated, like unless and until they're regulated under the rules of or the laws of SEC, they cannot be ETF. But some way or the other, SEC has concluded that it is by default a commodity just like Bitcoin.
This is going to be a game changer for the whole Web3 ecosystem as a whole, because a lot of different altcoins and a lot of different assets are actually backed with Ethereum. One of the most interesting things that I had in mind and would love to see how exactly this is getting processed is the availability of Ethereum and Ethereum-pegged assets in the decentralized exchange, as well as the availability of the same Ethereum as an exchange-traded fund, that's ETFs, right, where different institutions will be coming in and will be trading around ETFs.
While the SEC's decision is a win for the crypto industry, some hurdles still need to be cleared. Each ETF issuer must still receive individual approval for their specific product, which could take several weeks. Additionally, the SEC's classification of Ethereum as a non-security remains a point of debate. Concerns persist around custody practices and potential manipulation within the underlying Ethereum market. The SEC's approval of Spot Ether ETF is a landmark decision for the cryptocurrency industry. It signifies a growing acceptance of cryptocurrencies by mainstream financial institutions and could pave the way for wider adoption. However, challenges related to regulation and market security remain. Investors should carefully consider these factors before entering the crypto markets through ETFs. Well, this is just a developing story. Stay tuned for further updates as individual ETF applications are reviewed and potentially launched. Well, that's all in today's special segment. This is me, Shobhan Joshi, signing off. For more such interesting updates and market analysis, keep watching 3.0 TV or log on to our website or scan the QR code. Thank you.